whenever His Holiness is giving any address, locally or internationally, our practice is that we suspend every other local programs, and then not just to suspend them, rather, it's also important that we listen to such addresses, so that we can learn one or two from them, or listen to our Khalifa. So that has been the practice of the Jamaat over the last couple of years. And then that is what separates us from other Jamaats out there. Having said that, I think we'll just diving into the program. Whatever we can attend to today, I think is going to go a long way to add to what we've done in the past. Just like our usual practice, we start with a quick recap of what we do in the previous episode, so that we don't lose touch of whatever lessons that we are discussing at any particular point in time. Last week, we started the 6 articles of faith. Just like we are aware, for those who have been privileged to join the first 3 episodes, we are looking at Islam. From Islam, we move to the 5 pillars of Islam. Then we are trying to pick on each of the pillars, one after the other, to understand the concepts and what they represent. We've been able to successfully start with the first pillar of Islam, which is a declaration of faith. Then we are now trying to break it down further to look at the 6 articles of faith. And the last week, I think we were able to discuss like 4 of them. I'm not sure, Koisa, were you at the last episode of this lesson? Were you able to attend last week, sir?
I was not able to join fully because my network was taking me in and out last week, so I couldn't enjoy the class because of the network.
Okay, that's understandable. It's okay, it's fine. I'm just looking at someone who attended the last class so that we can rub minds together, just to carry those who are joining today for the first time along. But it's okay. And today's class is looking at the audience we have today. It's more or less going to be like discussion, because well, okay, I think people are joining in now. Okay, so Brother Abdurraqib, I don't know, sir, I think I'm going to need you just to quickly give a quick recap of what we did last week in under 5 minutes, so that we can get into today's topics, right? And then last week we started with the 6 articles of faith, where we talked about them one after the other. To believe in the oneness of Allah, being the first article of faith. We move on to believing in the angels. We move on to believing in the holy books. And then also we were able to discuss briefly on to believe in all the prophets of Allah, being the fourth article of faith. But I didn't know, sir. Quickly, do you want to just share with us what some of the things that we discussed last week? I don't want to be the only one talking. I want to be sure that I'm not alone, and then that we've learned 1 or 2 things during the last episode. I would like to yield the mic to you, just to quickly help us. Oh, I'm not sure he's still on the call anyway. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, maybe I will have to do the job myself. So last week, we talked about the oneness of Allah. I mean, to believe in the oneness of Allah. And I think that is not far-fetched. We discussed that when we were discussing the first pillar of Islam, right? From there, we moved on to believing in the angels of Allah. Under this, we discussed, we learned like up to 10 names of different angels and their duties, what they do to serve Allah in the interest of humanity. Because if you look at it critically, we also discussed that some of the things they do is just Allah's mercies and bounties on the humanity. For example, the angel in charge of rain, they are not the one using the rain. It is just to benefit humanity. It's going to help us grow our crops so that we are able to feed ourselves and some other things like that. There's also some other agents recording our deeds, whether good or bad. They are also working in the interest of man so that they are able to keep our records. There's also an angel whose duty is just to give revelations to the prophets, specifically the Holy Prophet of Islam, Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu, and some other angels like that that we're able to discuss. And from there, we moved quickly onto the different prophets of Allah, as well as the people they were sent to, right? Starting from Prophet Adam alayhi salam, we move on to Prophet Noah, Prophet Hud, Prophet Yaqub, Prophet Isa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa, Prophet Noah, until we got to the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We also touched on the people they were sent to, the reason why they were sent to those people, and some of the books that was sent through these prophets that I just mentioned. Yeah, not all of them came with any with books from Allah. Just a few of them had some books of Allah sent to them. For example, we discussed Prophet Isa salam, who was the prophet that was revealed. I mean, that revealed the book of Injil to us, the book of Allah, sent to the people of his time. Then Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Taurata, then also Prophet Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam, the book of Zabur, and the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad Rasulullah, the Holy Quran. And yeah, I think that was what we discussed on that particular one. And then there were questions around why were these different books sent to different prophets, since the Holy Quran came to the Holy Prophet, and it's kind of summarizes everything. So we discussed last week that the reason why these books were sent to different prophets was because some of these books were speaking to a particular set of people, right? For instance, when the book of Injil was revealed to Prophet Isa alayhi salam, it was talking about what was happening at that particular time. But if you look at the Holy Quran, it was sent to all mankind, to the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you look at what was written in the Holy Quran, it captures everything that has happened before at the time of the Holy Prophet, during the time of the Prophet, and after his time, and what is going to happen in the life after this world. So that kind of just tell us all that the Holy Prophet of Islam is more or less like the end of prophethood, so to say, in the sense that he has been sent as mercy to all mankind because of the kind of message he brought and the book that was revealed to him. I think that was the last thing we kind of discussed last week. I'm just trying to put everything together as much as I can remember. But people that were on the call last week would understand what was discussed and the summary I just did now. All right. But I didn't know, sir, do you think, did I miss anything else from what we discussed last week? I'll need your help at this point. I don't want to be the only one talking and talking and talking. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts together. Did I miss out anything, sir? Is there anything you would like to share with us that you remember from the last class?
Well done, sir. I'm sorry, I had you call my name just before. As soon as I joined, I had your name, so the network logged me out immediately. So I don't know. I'm sorry for that. So I think
that's understandable. Yeah.
what I met you speaking of, you've pretty much mentioned most of what we discussed. Believe in angels, believe in the books, and believe in the prophets of God. So addition, there are one verse of the Holy Quran that was made mention of to strengthen the fact that as Muslims, we need to believe in all the prophets that are sent by God. So this ayah, Amana Rasul, Amana Rasulu, Bima Unzila Ilayk min Rabbi wal Mu'minun, was referenced last week to buttress the fact that when believe in in prophets of God and believe in books, the holy books is talked about, it is a must for anybody who is a Muslim to believe in all of them by not saying that this one is our own prophet and that one is not of us, or the books, that the books have also been sent to those prophets for some reasons. And as Muslims, we also need to believe that those books were true in their nature. in their true nature. They were sent to those prophets to guide their people at the time. And now we are also supposed to believe that there are certain truths in them, and we can use them as evidence base for the followers of those faiths. So I think that will be the few additions I will be adding to it. So, Jazakallah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for coming to my aid. You've spoken well. I think the part that I did not capture in my message is what you just did justice to. Jazakallah, may Allah continue to increase in knowledge. Without further ado, I think we should then wrap it up with the two outstanding articles of faith that we were unable to discuss last week. The first being the fifth article of faith. Also, I would like another person maybe to just remind us of the two articles of faith that we were unable to discuss last week. You've heard it all. The quick recap we just did now happened to discuss the first four articles of faith that we were able to discuss last week, as well as the supporting verses from the Holy Quran. So just another person on the call, without having to call anyone's name, if you can just briefly just remind us of the last two articles of faith outside of the four that we just discussed. Again, remember, one of the most important objectives of this call is for us to have an interactive session so that we can learn from one another. Nobody's coming here to boast of their knowledge or to come and prove that they know better than any other person. But again, just to learn from one another and go home with one or two things. Anyone on the call, please? Brother Nasir Abubakar, do you want to help us? Let's discuss. I would like to hear your voice, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah.
The fifth article of faith is believe in the last day. And the last one is
do you remember? If you are speaking, I'm not sure we can hear you. Okay, so that we don't waste time. But I didn't know, sir. You can go ahead. I can see that your hand is raised. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay, so believe in the last day, just like the brother mentioned, and then believe in Kodak destiny. I think these are the remaining two articles of faith left.
MashaAllah, well said. Yeah, to believe in the day of judgment and to believe in the divine decree, right? So there is a supporting hadith for these six articles of faith, where we understand better what the six articles of faith are talking about. Maybe quickly, and it's something we can quickly learn because the words that we're using in this hadith are some of the words that we already told them around almost on a daily basis, right? The Arabic words that we are very familiar with. If I am to quickly share my screen, we'll see the hadith that I'm talking about. Please let me know when you can see my screen. Can anyone see my screen yet?
Yes, you can see it. You can see it.
Oh, Jazakallah. Thank you very much, sir. Koisa, Nigeria Alako, do you want to help us, sir? Just to read out this hadith. But before I go to you, Ustaz Abdul Rafiq Sab, looking at this hadith on my screen, do you think it addresses the topic of this in discussion at the moment? The six articles of faith, just to know if it is valid, if it's something we should learn, we should know about that support this. I mean, quickly help
Yes,
us.
it does. It does. It does 100%.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much, sir. Koisa, do you want to help us just to read it out for others to hear, and so that we can learn it, memorize it, and just to back up our arguments when we are trying to discuss the 6 articles of faith in Islam. I'm not sure Koisa is still with us. Okay, but I didn't answer. Please help me. I'm going to use you a lot today because I'm very familiar with your name. I'm not sure Koisa is still with us on the call.
All right. Al-Iman an tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'minu bil qadar khairihi wa sharrihi. Rawahu Muslim.
Jazakallah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think this is the hadith to learn just to back up what we have been discussing from the first article of faith until the last one, right? It is important that we know this because when we discuss it out there, we can't just discuss it vaguely without having to reference them from the saying of the Holy Prophet or from the Holy Quran. Just like our brother just rightly recited the hadith now, if you look at the wordings in this hadith, there are words that we are very familiar with. Al-Iman, an tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'minu bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Rawahu Muslim. We are very much familiar with every word used in this hadith. So maybe I'll just leave it on the screen for a few seconds, maybe 60 seconds or 72 seconds, just to quickly look at it, and then we can learn it together. This can be the takeaway from today's episode. Al-Iman an tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'minu bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Rawahu Muslim. Okay, few seconds to go. Please remember, no audio joining on the call. We might be calling on you to just help us, just to be sure that we are learning and we're not just wasting our time on the call. Please, let's pay close attention to what we have on the screen. Al-Iman an tu'mina billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'mina bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Muslim. Okay, I think we should be able to have learned the hadith. Al-Iman an tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'minu bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Rawahu Muslim. I just learned my own now, so I have it in my head now. I think we should be able to have another person who have been able to just learn it, memorize it. Shortly, we'll just look at the meaning too, which I'm very much sure that we are conversant with already. Al-Iman an tu'minu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'minu bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. Rawahu Muslim. So I just cited my own. I don't know, do we have anyone who would like to just make another attempt on the call? any other person on the call would like to make a second attempt for this hadith. I just recited my own without looking at the screen. I scrolled away from the screen. So it would be nice to have another person on the call who can also read it out before we quickly look at the meaning of the hadith. Okay. Even though I can no longer see my screen, but I'll have to. Brother Ahmad Ogunsari, do you want to try? Do you want to make an attempt? Brother Ahmad Oguns, are you with us? Brother Anasir Khalil Rahman, do you want to help us, sir? Have you been able to learn the hadith?
Okay, let me try.
Jazakallah. Well done. Go ahead, sir.
الإيمان أن تؤمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر وتؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره.
Jazakallah. What about the reference?
Sorry,
Do you remember?
رواه المسلم. Sorry.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. Do we have another person? Okay. Since we have another person who have been able to learn the hadith, maybe we'll quickly just look at the meaning so that we don't waste much time on the call. Right. So just like our brother recited now, the hadith we have on the screen is al-iman an tu'mina billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa tu'mina bil qadar khayrihi wa sharrihi. So from the meaning, even with us looking at the meaning that we have, we should be able to even understand what this hadith is talking about. Do you want to try? But I not say Khalil Rahman Sab. Just looking at the hadith, do you think it's something you can make an attempt to just tell us the meaning of the hadith?
Okay. Al-Iman.
Okay.
Al-Iman.
That's Mobi Khalil Rahman. Still called the laptop.
Ah, no, I shouldn't have even called. Oh, thank you very much, Sarah, for calling my attention. Mami sir, please mute your mic. I don't want you again. I didn't know. I'm looking at the name, but I wasn't sure. I was just in a doubt. So please mute your mic. I don't need you again. Maybe I'll just continue to use but I didn't know, sir. Are you still on the call? Please help me out here.
There is another person with me here. Nasser Abdubaki is with me, so I think if he wants to try it, he can try.
From Kogilak, all right?
Yes.
MashaAllah. I mean, I think he has contributed today, but I would like to hear from him again. That's nice. Thank you very much, Mavi sir.
Oh yeah. Translate.
Okay. Al-Iman, which means believe, and tu'minu billah, believe in Allah, wa malaikatihi, and his angel, wa kutubihi, and his revealed books, wa rusulihi, and his messengers, wal yawmil akhir, and the prophets.
Yawmil akhir.
Okay, sorry, wal yawmil akhir, and the last day, wa tu'min bil qadar, and believe in destiny, khayrihi, the good part of it, wa sharrihi, and the bad part of it, rawahul Muslim, narrated by Muslim.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Thank you very much for your contribution. Ustaz Abdul Fixer, are we on course with that meaning? With the meaning my beloved brother just gave now? Are we still on course?
Yes, Jazakumullah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Please bear with me. My standby scholars are not on the course. They were supposed to help me, but just bear with me. Thank you very much for that. So just like our beloved brother just recited now, that is the meaning of the hadith. You just saved me the mess of now trying to wrap my head around the meaning, because I just noticed that I didn't capture the meaning while trying to prepare this hadith. Right. Quickly before we go, do we have another person who would like to try with the meaning? The Arabic and the meaning. We still have the Arabic on the screen. The Arabic and the meaning. Just to make a second attempt before we move on.
Okay, if I may.
Okay, please, guys.
So, al-Iman and tu'mina billahi, faith is to believe in Allah wa malaikatihi, his angels, wa kutubihi, in his books, the revealed books, wa rusulihi, in all the messengers, wal yawmil akhir, and the day of reckoning, wa tu'mina bil qadar, and to have faith in destiny, khairihi wa sharrihi, both the good and the bad part of it, transmitted by a Muslim.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. May Allah continue to increase in knowledge. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of the 6 articles of faith. Just like we started last week, what we have just did now is the fact that we reference the supporting hadith from the saying of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, just to support the 6 articles of faith, what we already know about them. Last week, we started these 6 articles of faith, and we've been able to conclude on it. Having said that, we should also have it at the back of our minds that it is important that we are not lazy learners. There are some things that we might not have touched on as far as the 6 articles of faith are concerned. Please let us just also do our own personal learning and look at what we have not touched, learn from it, and then it's going to be for our own benefit, right? Because we want to continue to learn. And then as far as this lesson is concerned, I think we should just move to the second pillar of Islam, which is Salat. The reason why we are discussing these articles of faith, these 6 articles of faith, is the fact that we are trying to discuss each of the pillars of Islam one after the other, understand them, what they represent, and then the concepts in full. And then having said that, it is safe to say that we can now move to the second pillar of Islam, which is Salat, which means prayer in Islam. Okay, I have Ustaz Abdul Rafiq Sab hands up. You can have the floor, sir. Please share your submission.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum to Allah, Jazakumullah. Please, before we move to the second pillar of Islam, I learned there was a question last week that borders on this concept of Rawaniya, as we have it mostly among the non-Hamadi scholars. I guess the question came up when we were discussing about the angels. So I was not opportune to join last week, but I was informed earlier today that we promised to look at that question today. So I would like to know if we have provision for that.
Oh, you are very correct, sir. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. It was a bone of contention last week, and I think Hafiz Abdulkif briefly discussed it, but we're unable to discuss it extensively last week. That escaped my mind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Yes, it came up last week when one of our brothers asked that question, and according to him, he believed that it's kind of controversial when we talk about the concept of Quraniya in Islam under the, would I say under the topic of angels in Islam. I wouldn't know. I'll still come back to you, sir, Ustaz Abdul Rafiq, sir, just to share your knowledge with us on this particular topic. Like I said, you are spot on. I think that was the major reason why we were unable to even finish the 6 articles of faith last week, because we discussed on it, but we were unable to discuss on it extensively. And that was how we ended the last class. Please pardon me, it escaped my mind. I mean, according to you, sir, I mean, you have the mic now. Please share with us, just for our knowledge sake. Jazakallah.
Okay, please, Brother Rafi Saab, I wouldn't know. Can we confirm if the questioner is also on this call? Because I'm very sure it is of utmost importance that everybody be on the same page on this issue, because it is actually very controversial. Not only controversial it is something that affects our faith as members of the Jamaat, and it's actually very important because there is no how we will not mix with non-Ahmadis outside there, and this concept is actually coming from them. So somebody who has not mixed with them or who does not interact with them may not even hear anything about Rawaniya. So we need to understand it, and that's why I'm asking if we have that brother who asked that question last week, if you have him on board, so that he will get the response now, and hopefully all of us will be guided.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Unfortunately, I'm not sure he's on the call. This question was asked by brother Toyib Alauddin Saab and one other brother. If my memory serves me right, I think Ayatollah cousin. Yeah, the two brothers. I don't no, they are not on the call today. They are not on the call. That's quite sad.
Okay.
But for the benefit of those of us that are on the call.
Okay, no problem. We can just go ahead. So briefly, this concept of Rawaniya, like I said, it is coming from the non-Ahmadis. And what is the genesis of this idea? The genesis of this idea of having some people call Rawaniya is actually premised on their false understanding of the concept of jinn, especially those who were with Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam. The Quran tells us that Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam was actually using some so-called jinn in carrying out certain activities like masonry, like diving into water to bring out jewels, and all these activities were actually carried out by some categories of creatures that the Quran captured as jinn. Now, they understand those jinn to mean separate creatures apart from humans. So the scholars now come up with this concept of, okay, if Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam could employ the jinn, so-called jinn, then that means we can also do the same. Are you getting it? That is why you see them saying they are praying. Of course, they may be reciting a particular surah of the Quran, like Surah to Yasin, for instance. So they will now codify that same Surah to Yasin that you know. It is that same Yasin that you know, but they will not recite it the way you know it, the way it was revealed. So there is one concept that in Arabic that we call naht. That is when we try to abbreviate something, like saying Hay Lala, for instance. When you say Hay Lala, it means I'm saying La ilaha illallah. When you say Subhanallah, I'm saying Subhanallah. So that is what we call naht in Arabic. They also do a kind of naht for Quranic verses of the Quran, and that one has no basis whatsoever. So they will now summarize or abbreviate Quranic verses, like Quranic surah, like Surah to Yasin, for instance, and it now becomes something like more of an occultic thing. Only those people who belong to that, maybe it is a Sufi group or to that particular order, that will know it. So they call it Okpa in Yoruba. They will say, I'll give you the Okpa of this surah. So when they tell you, I'm giving you the Okpa of Surah to Yasin, they will not recite the Yasin the way we all know it. And it is when they continue reciting in this manner, they are trying to invoke some spirits. And it is those spirits that they invoke that they call the Rawaniya. So they believe that those spirits are the ones that accompany the recitation of Surah to Yasin, if Yasin is what they are using, for instance. But the question now is, why is it that those spirits are not accompanying it when I recite the same Yasin the way it was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So why do I need to codify it in another way, different? In fact, and it will be a different recitation entirely. So that will now bring about the presence of those so-called spirits. So those spirits are what they call Rawaniya. And that is why they will tell you that if they want to give you certain prayers, if you do this prayer, do not worry, some Rawaniya will bring money for you. Some Rawaniya will bring money for you, whatever currency you want. Yes, they will tell you that. They will tell you they have some Rawaniya that they can use to go and steal something for you, to go and bring something for you, to go and bring food. No, all this concept, it is very, very much available amidst them. So this is the concept of Rawaniya. Another thing they misconstrue is the fact that, yes, the Quran, we are told by the Prophet Muhammad, for instance, in the case of Surah Al-Kahf, the Prophet told us that when Surah Al-Kahf was revealed, 70,000 angels came down with the revelation of Surah Al-Kahf. Yes, that is documented. So they now draw an inference from that. That okay, since 70,000 angels came down with the revelation of Surah Al-Kahf, Then we can also invoke those angels. They will not call them Rawaniya, but the Rawaniya are not angels. They are just some evil spirits. And do not forget that just as we have the spirit, the angels too, they are like spirits, sort of. They are beings that we cannot see, but they are spirit. They are created from light. So they are manifestation of divine light. So also we have some forces of evil. So the Rawaniya that they are invoking are not the angels who are of light. These ones are of darkness. And that is why they can say they want to send them on errands and do all sorts of things for them. So that is their own concept of Rawaniya. So why I was asking whether the brother who asked that question is on call is for us to be guided so that we will not find ourselves, in the midst of those people seeking some prayers with some Rawaniya or anything. So that is why I requested that we pass this message across. Jazakumullah khairan.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Ustaz Saib. Wa alaikum salam. Wa rahmatullah. Is
Yes,
someone speaking?
just one addition on that.
Oh, okay. Mogi Saib, please go ahead.
No. So I think recently, if we are all conversant with in the Southwest, the scholars, they have been debating some issue about some people called RMQK. So this is specifically their concept when it comes to that, as Avisaf just explained in the early part of his answer. They believe that they can call on these people, these spirits, and these spirits actually have power than some prophets or than some angels even. So nowadays we have that particular group called RMQK, and most especially in the southwestern Nigeria, who that is their own main concept. So that's just what I want to add on that.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Mogi Saib. Thankfully, this session is being live streamed on YouTube, and it's a recorded session. Even if the brother is not on, the brothers rather, they are not on the call, they can easily just go back to the recorded session just to get a grasp of what has been discussed. However, before we move on from that, I think I have two follow-up questions for Mogi Saib and Ustaz Abdul Rafiq Saib. So from what you just discussed now, would you say that the concept of Rawaniya, just like you explained now, is there a kind of relationship with the jinn in any sense of it? Because during your explanation, I think Ustaz mentioned the concept of spirit, invoking spirits, countless number of times. So is there any relationship between that concept of Rawaniya and jinn? Like we know that the jinns are creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Secondly, there is also in Islam, in Yoruba land, they'll say, how do we separate the two concepts of Ninu Islam from trying to now misuse calling on these evil spirits just for the benefit of those who are using them? I'm just trying to put my questions together. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I understand. Jazakumullah. Now, the first one, the concept of jinn itself is a very controversial one. But the word jinn itself means something hidden. So these spirits are also hidden in a way. So, and those jinns mentioned in the Quran, even though all of them are human beings, but because they are always hidden people, they are not people that you come about, you come across anywhere. So that is why they are called jinn in the Quran. So there is no single instance in the Quran where a creature other than a human is called jinn. That is number one. Now, but that does not negate the fact that there might actually be some other creatures that Allah has created. As that Mr. Tawhir Amar in one of his question and answer session,
Oops, I think we lost him. Am I the only one? Or is it my network or we lost him already? Can anyone hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me.
Not on the call anymore.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So that means we lost him. Okay, he just joined back. Ustaz Sab, we lost you for a few
Yes,
seconds.
I'm sorry, it was network. So
Oh, all right.
I'm saying that Mr. Todd Amarimahullah was saying that in the Quran, and that is the position of the Jamaat, in the Quran, anywhere jinn is mentioned, they are human beings, not any spirit or anything. Because the Sharia of Islam is meant for humans, not any other being. The Sharia of Islam is meant for only humans. So wherever we have jinn in the Quran, they are humans. However, Uzur said he does not deny the fact that Allah has created many creatures, some of whom we might not know. Now, these people, what they are doing is to try to invoke those creatures that they believe exist that we might not know of. And that is why, as Mavis have said, they believe that even these people are more powerful than some prophets. Of course, we know that that is heretical because the prophets are the manifestation of the divine will. So how can they be more powerful? So we know that that is pure kufru. So it has some link with what that entire concept of jinn, because jinn means something hidden. So and they are also invoking on something hidden that they believe exists and can come to their aid. Now, secondly, on the issue of nakali, what is nakali? Nakali means naklu. Naklu means to transmit from one place to another. And the Quran itself is nakali. Why do I say so? Nakala, it means to transmit from one person to another. And the Quran was transmitted to us from one person to another. The Prophet Muhammad Sallam received the revelation. He recited to the Sahaba taught the Tabi'un taught the next generation, and from one generation to another. That is how we come to know of the Quran now. So the Quran itself is naklu, as in linguistically. So, but I understand that among the non-Ahmadi Muslims, many of them, especially among the Sufi groups, they have this concept of nakali, nakali, nakali. Nakali simply means prayers. Prayers that are transmitted from one person to another. Look, I can tell you that, okay, if you want to get, if you are begging Allah to have offspring, you've been married for a while and you are not having offspring, I can tell you I want to give you one nakali. And that nakali means you continue praying. Rabbi la tatarni fardan wa anta khairu warithin. That is also nakali, but it is a Quranic verse. And when you continue repeating that verse, Allah, in His infinite mercy, may bless you with children. It is also nakali. So naklu means something transmitted from one person to another. I now understand that they, in some cases, they give out all in the name of prayers, sentences that are not prayer, that are pure kufru, pure kufru. And one example is what we are discussing here today. The one that is meant to invoke some spirit somewhere to come to your aid and rest. So those ones are heretical. But the concept of nakali from the source is correct. It means even the prayers of the Prophet ﷺ, they are nakali now. The hadiths, we were not there when the Prophet ﷺ lived. Some people, our fathers were not there, our fathers were not there. So the Sahabas were there. They transmitted it to another person. That is, they do nakulu. That is nakali. They do nakulu, that is transmitted it to the next generation, then till our own time. So it is also a form of nakali. So when somebody now tells you that, okay, if you need children, this is what the Prophet taught us to do. What is giving you is also nakulu, because it is doing nakali from you, from one person to another. But to now say that I want to pray, not with the Quran, not with the Prophet's prayer, or other prayers that have the same meaning that align with the Quran, like saying Rabbana something that is not found in the Quran, but it is also it's also a prayerful sentence. To now say I want to go out of that and say I want to go and look for one prayer, all in the name of nakali, something that is not traceable to Allah or even to anything, that is not correct. So what they have as nakali majorly are some prayers that they believe that Allah inspired the earlier saints to say those prayers. But when you look at those prayers themselves, they are Quranic verses, prayers of the Holy Prophet. You know, they may just add one or two sentences to it that are also in line with the Quran. So that's why they call, I have this nakali, I have this nakali, I have this nakali. So they are majorly prayers. But there are ones that are pure kufru that have nothing to do with prayers. So jazakumullah.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Thank you very much, Ustaz Abdul Sab. May Allah continue to increase in knowledge. If you are submitting to Walaikum Salam. Oh, Mabisa.
Yes, I wanted to add one point that I will share the answers to everyday issue. There is one particular part in which Huzur Ayatollah Aziz discussed about jinn. So I think a question of jinn was posed to him. So I think if I share it on the Move platform, maybe from there it can be shared on the Kudan platform, where Huzur discussed about the jinn, the essence, what does it mean? Because once one gets this particular meaning right, definition of jinn and application and everything, how Quran has used it. So once we get it right, I think everything will be solved. So I will share that answers. I will get it inshallah tonight and share it. Inshallah.
That would be so much appreciated. Jazakallah Mobisa. Thank you very much. I think I saw someone's hand raised. I have the feeling that person is trying to either contribute or ask a question. But if there's
Assalamu alaikum,
anything
Tula.
I've Walaikum salam.
Brolani Isai, Assalamu alaikum. I'd wanted
Wa
to ask a
salam.
question before. I was the one that raised my hand earlier, but I decided to follow up privately with my sheikh on it, sir.
We
So I don't
want to
waste
learn
our
from
time here.
you.
No,
So
I wanted to
I'm
ask a
even
question actually.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
I said I raised my hand earlier, but I retrieved the hand. I put it down because I decided that it is best to discuss the points with my sheikh privately, with Ustaz Abdurrafiq privately, rather than boarding the entire house with it now, sir. So that's
Please,
why I'm just trying to.
you are not wasting our time. We'll learn. So, as a matter of fact, I think I'm very much reluctant to even move on with today's topic, which is Salat, because I'm looking at the attendance we have here. It would be unfair for us to start the second pillar of Islam without having at least a quorum, just like we did last week or in the last two episodes. So, if this is what we discussed today, I'm very much okay with it. Maghrib is more or less approaching us. And if we close out with this particular topic, I think it's worth it, right? So just to mention that you are not wasting our time, we want to learn from the question, we want to learn from the discussion, unless it is something personal to you. But barring that, I think
Okay,
you
so
can go
my
ahead.
question,
Let's learn from you.
okay, Jazakumullah khairan, sir. My question is that I would like respected Afisai to quickly throw a little light on the verse وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, which is the postulation that he mentioned that the entirety of the Quran, the Sharia of Islam, is meant only for humans and not jinn. But I'm just trying to understand how do we then interpret that higher of the Quran, where Allah has categorized mankind and jinn separately. I understand that there are explanations that says that genes are also just a manifestation of higher humans or humans with special abilities and all of that. But still, I just want him to quickly give us a little bit of understanding on this ayah. Jazakumullah khairan.
Jazakumullah khairan.
MashaAllah.
Jazakumullah. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We have not created, even in the Quran translated by the Jamaat, we say we have not created the jinn and men. Because that's the only word we can find to interpret the word jinn. Are you getting it? But that does not mean that the verse is talking about two separate categories of creatures. They are actually humans, like you have said. But to get it very easily, to put it very easily, let me ask you this question. Of course, rhetorically. The Sharia, I mentioned earlier that the Sharia of Islam is meant for human beings, not for any other creature. Now, part of the Sharia of Islam is that we should pray. And before we enter into prayer, we must perform ablution, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Now, yes, if we are to go by the understanding outside there that, okay, the jinn is a separate creature and they are the ones mentioned in the Quran, we are told that those jinn were made from fire because Iblis told us in the Quran that you created me from fire and you created Adam from dust. Now, if those jinns were actually created from fire, like we said, how are they going to perform ablution? How can a fiery being perform ablution? We know that water will quench fire, isn't it? So that means this Sharia is not for them. Definitely, the jinn mentioned in that verse of the Quran must not be a separate creature. It must be the same humans. So one of the method of the Quran is that when the Quran is listing a category, from within the same category, Allah will separate them into two by starting from the generic one to the specific one. Now, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ will now mean that, so now in this case, we are having from the specific. We have not created those men who may see themselves as being above others. And that is the reason why they are always hidden from the generality of humans. We have not created them, and also those that they may look upon as the commoners, who are the ins in this sense. We have not created all of them, except that they should come and worship us. We have several other verses like that in the Quran, where Allah separates jinn and men to give the same meaning. And even away from the issue of jinn or man, we have many other verses of the Quran where Allah will mention the same category, but as in the same set, the same creature, but different categories within the same creature. Allah may start from the specific to the generic, or you start from the generic to the specific. We have copious examples of this in the Quran. But since Moses has promised to send what Uzur said about this concept, so maybe after that, if we now need further discussion on it, maybe in our future episodes, then we can now look at it very well. So we can look at all these examples from the Quran, where the Quran will mention for the same creature the same thing, but that can be divided into two, but not entirely a separate entity. So Jazakumullah khair. And please, before we close this, please, to finish it all, in Surah to Jinn itself, you know, there's a surah in the Quran named Surah to Jinn. We were told that some jinn came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But who are these jinn? That same surah told us, who are these jinn? What did they do? These jinn were no one but the Jews, some Jewish tribes who believed in the message of Moses, because they said in that verse of the Quran that inna samina Quran yahdi ila rushd wa bihi. Okay, no, in Suratul Ahqaf, they said inna samina kitaban unzila min ba'di Musa. We have listened to a book that was revealed to another person after Musa. After Moses, that means they were aware of the scripture that was sent to Moses and they believed in it. So according to that verse, they said they believed in the scripture of Moses. And to whom was Moses sent? Everybody knows Moses was sent to the Bani Israel. That means those people were actually Jewish in nature. So now, when the Quran was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 13th century after the demise of Moses alayhi salam, they also believed in it. They came, but they were called jinn because they came at night, because they didn't want people to be aware of their coming. So just not to enrage the Arabs. So that was why they came at night, and that's why the Quran called them jinn. They were hiding in a place, they came at night, and also after listening to the Quran from the Prophet ﷺ, they also went back home, stealthily, without anybody noticing them. And that's why the Quran has called them the jinn. So I hope that answers the question in a way.
So,
MashaAllah.
Jazakumullah khairan, sir. Jazakumullah khairan, but I will still follow up with you privately, inshallah. Jazakumullah.
But at least to a large extent, you understand what Ustaz Abdul Sahab just discussed with us, right?
Yes.
Jazakumullah.
But I will still follow up with him. He understands.
Yeah, thank you very much. At least we've been able to learn one or two things from his response and from your question as well. And I've been able to understand that the concept of nokali, like we use in the local parlance, is from the word noklu, which means transmission of something from maybe one person to another. I understand that part. I also understand the fact that the concept of this noklu we are talking about is more or less prayers. If someone has said, I'm going to give you a particular nokali to use, maybe for someone who is looking for the fruit of the womb, or you are looking for a job, they are more or less telling you that I'll give you a prayer from the Holy Quran and maybe from the saying of the Holy Prophet Salam. Where we should draw the line is when they are now trying to give us something that does not support what has been shared by the prophets of Allah, either in the Holy Quran or from the hadith of the Holy Prophet Salam. That is where we should draw the line and be able to differentiate what a prayer is from what invoking evil sayings or evil spirits in our day-to-day activities. What I just did now is, if you are struggling to understand what they've been saying, that is what I've been able to learn from Ustaz Abdul Rafiq's response to the question being asked from last week, as well as the one asked by our beloved brother today. Thank you very much once again. I'm very sure we've been able to learn one or two things from the question. Thankfully, I think the brother that asked the question last week joined us in the middle of Ustaz's response. but they can easily catch up from the recording session if they missed out on any of the response. Like I said earlier, I'm very much reluctant to now move on to the next topic. I think it's safe to say that we can start afresh from the second pillar of Islam by our next episode. Quickly, if just to wrap it up, if I have anyone, just to be sure that I'm not the only person who have learned one or two things from Ustaz Abdul Rafiq's response, maybe another person can just share with us one or two things that they've been able to, that's going to be like a takeaway from them from today's lesson. Just anyone randomly to share with us before we disperse on today's call. It's almost time for Maghrib from this side of the world. Anyone, any other person? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Ahmad Sir, Jazakallah.
Oh, well, sir. I just want a clarity on this. The response to that question is that the jinn are not different something. They are human being like us. Are they like flesh like we? As they are made from fires, as they have said, and we are made from dust. So the dust has been turned to flesh. We are. Are they the jinn made from fires, as they said? Are they turned to flesh as well, like human being? Just that they are being hidden. They are not physical or transparent to us to see. That's the only difference between us and the jinn, if I could understand.
Okay, so I wouldn't want to stress Ustaz Abdul Rafiq Sir again. I think he has been able to do justice to that question, like in two different instances. He has been able to respond to it twice. So maybe I should just try to be sure that I've even learned something from his response. So from his response, what I personally learned from it is that in the Holy Quran, there are many instances that Allah, when he's trying to address a particular topic, he kind of come from the approach of generic and specific, still talking about the same topic, right? For example, the concept of humanity, as far as this topic is concerned, generic and specific. For this particular one, I think it mentioned that the generic came before the specific, the jinn and men. So the jinn, in the sense that those who have been are in the position of maybe they are more privileged, more powerful, they are more or less invisible. For instance, in the modern world, if you look at the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for instance, he's not someone you see every day, he's not someone you meet on the road every day, he's not someone you interact with every day. So he's more or less a powerful man because of his position. I would say, I will ask Ustaz Abdul Rafiq if I'm correct anyways, in this instance, we can say he's more or less like a jinn because of that position, because of the power that has been attributed to that particular position. But for someone like me, Abdulafiz Olani, you meet me every day, we meet at the mosque, we pray every day, we discuss every day. What the Holy Quran in this particular verse is as referred to as men. I'm a man and I belong to that humanity. So we are more or less still discussing about the same concepts, but coming from the approach of specific and generic, right? So if we go by this response, we can say that they are not, just like you said, maybe they were created from fire. I think he specifically explained that that it is not that they were created from fire. And they also buttress that with the fact that if they were created from fire, how do they perform ablution if we are talking about the concept of humanity as a whole, right? So if you look at it like that, we are still talking about humanity. Allah is talking about that we have not created humanity except for them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I kind of struggle with my response, but I hope I've been able to communicate one or two things that you might take away from that response. But Ahmad sir.
Sure.
All right. Ustaz Sab, did I speak your mind, or is there anything I missed out?
No. You spoke well.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Okay, I think the question as well as the responses that have been given so far, they kind of address today's topic. It's safe to say we can give it we can draw the curtain at this point. Inshallah, barring any address from His Holiness or any other international or local program, we'll be meeting at the same time, 4:30 p.m. inshallah, so that we can discuss extensively on whatever topic we're going to be choosing for next week. Specifically, we'll be looking at the second pillar of Islam, which is Salat, inshallah, by next week, 4:30 p.m. Before we go, respected Sarah Sahab, Assalamu alaikum, so I can see that you're on the call. Do you have any closing remark for us, just to hear from you, sir, as you are graciously on the call with us, just to hear from you before we wrap it up and call it a day? Jazakallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Respected Tamim Talim Saab and the other respected brothers on the call, thank you very much for your efforts, and alhamdulillah that we were able to have this class today. I enjoyed every moment we shared today in the class from the beginning. Alhamdulillah, I was part of today's session from the beginning, so I have also learned a lot. Thanks to all contributors from the beginning. So don't let me mention specific names because if we have people, even if we have people who are asking questions and we have our scholars who can respond to those questions, it actually makes it interesting. So like I've mentioned that we are all here to learn. So in fact, if there is one of the ways through which a scholar will also learn is when they ask him a question. And then it's also important, like we have said, that nobody knows it all. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has overall knowledge. That is why everybody should come here to learn. A scholar said that no person knows it all. It is because they have not asked the person what he knows not. So if you think you are a scholar, you know it all, it's because they have not asked you what you don't know. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, He has not given us anything from knowledge except little. So it is from the wisdom of Allah, the Almighty, through His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that all of us are swimming. It is like this. I want to thank every one of us, all of us, for joining. And like I've mentioned in the fourth session that we had 4 weeks ago, that we should encourage to bring others. If you are coming to a class like this and you have gained, some knowledge, can you kindly drag others by next week? Can you bring your friend next week? Can you tell your friend that, oh, you have gained so thing this week and you want him to join? In fact, if you can drag non-Ahmadis, let them join. I'm equally sad that with the way I shouted and lamented yesterday on the MOOC platform, this is the number we are seeing. But one thing is that we should not relent. We should keep doing, we should keep going. One thing that is very certain is that for every moment, for every action in life, there is a record for it. So the life of every person will just be a similitude of someone. In an analogy I used to say that a leader told a set of people that in this city that we have, we'll leave this city now, we'll cross to the other side. And the leader told them that all of you should go with the sand of this particular city. Some of them were like, you can't go with this sand. That why will we carry sand here? Is it that when we get to the other city, we'll not see sand? Some of them did not carry the sand. Some people carried a little. Some people carried it, heavily. They even put it in their basket. Some people put it in their pockets. When they got to the other side of the city, they left that city where the instruction was given to them. Everybody who had sand with him had the sand turned into gold. And then it became a treasure to every person who had the gold. It now became a form of regret to all of them. Those who did not carry the sand at all were like, wow, we have made a grievous mistake in our life. We didn't have anything to talk about. We didn't have, how little we don't have it. Those who carried little, they say, wow, if we knew, we would have carried so much sand. Those who even carried so much, they were like, if I had known, I would have carried more and more and more. That is the similitude of what everybody will have in the day of Qiyamah. And even some of these regrets will even come in this life. Let me tell us that anybody can be in a situation where it's the position you are, the simple knowledge you have learned on this platform may be the one to save you. Simple knowledge that you think that they are small knowledge, they may be the one to save you. And then every person who is conscious of top position in life to know that you should prepare yourself for a day in life where hopefully your position will not be bigger than your knowledge. If you are in a situation in life where your seat is bigger than your knowledge, you will sink. Ito bá wà ní ipò tó yẹ pé ipò yẹn tóbi ju ìmọ̀ ẹ lọ, ó máa padà gbé ẹ̀mí, ojú dẹ̀ máa tì ẹ́. But if you have prepared yourself before you get to that position with necessary knowledge, you will not sink, you will rather flow. You will stay afloat and you will shine. That is my parting word this evening. Thank you very much, everyone. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless all our endeavors. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah, Salah Sahab. Thank you very much for your beautiful message. We'll continue to improve, learn from you, and hopefully we have a larger quorum by the next lesson, inshallah, so that people can as well learn from what we are discussing. Okay, I will leave it there. So for those who are on the MOOC platform, Movisab has graciously shared the message with us from His Holiness, from His Holiness's response to this particular topic as well. So just like we mentioned, we can also learn from it. Please do not just learn from it. Please share with people at the grassroots level, specifically those who are on the call and are not on the MOOC platform. Please let's share with them and then let them learn from it as well. Inshallah.
So Brother Bisa, you can also share with the on the Talim platform as well, and put a caveat there that it's part of what was discussed today that people need to learn from. So probably to get to that brother who asked that question last week as well. So maybe you can copy it and share on the Talim secretary group or something like that. Just to add. Exactly.
Yeah, copy that, sir. Copy that. Spot on. Inshallah, we'll do just that. All right. Thank you very much, brothers, for joining today's episode. See you same time, 4:30 p.m. next week. Barring any important program of the Jamaat, either locally or internationally, I will be starting by 4:30 p.m. inshallah. And just like Sada Sahab rightly mentioned, ensure that you come with 2-3 other brothers by the next lesson. I'm trying to, in all fairness to those who are unable to join today, maybe because of the time we start today, although even though that shouldn't be an excuse because we communicated that to everyone. But inshallah, I hope that we are going to improve on our attendance starting from next class. Thank you very much for joining. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.